Snow drifted quietly across the grounds of St. Matthew's private care facility in rural Vermont, covering the iron gates and bare maple trees in soft white silence. Inside room 712, Jonathan Hale sat alone in his hospital bed, the faint hum of medical equipment his only company. At 62, the legendary CEO of Hale Tech Industries had everything the world admired: wealth, influence, a lifetime of achievements, yet every morning began the same way, painfully empty. 6 o'clock. Wake up, black coffee, laptop open. It was a habit he'd practiced for years, even after the stroke, even after retirement papers were signed without ceremony. Habit had replaced purpose. Work had replaced people. Christmas Eve meant nothing anymore. The door opened with a soft click, and Miss Emily Carter stepped inside. She moved with quiet confidence, the kind that came from long nights and too many goodbyes. Emily was new to St. Matthew's, but she already carried one powerful habit of her own: she never rushed past a human being. "Good morning, Mr. Hale," she said gently, checking his vitals. Jonathan nodded without looking up from his screen. "Morning." As Emily adjusted the IV line, her eyes drifted to the nightstand. Among neatly stacked reports and a silver watch lay a folded piece of paper, yellowed and creased, its edges frayed from being opened and closed too many times. "Is that a letter?" she asked softly. Jonathan's fingers paused on the keyboard. "Just an old note." Emily hesitated, then nodded. "May I?" After a long moment, he sighed. "If you want." She unfolded it carefully. The handwriting was childish, uneven, full of misspelled words and honest emotion. "Please visit our dad. He pretends he's busy, but he's lonely. Love, the triplets." Emily felt something tighten in her chest. "You have children?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jonathan finally turned toward her. His eyes were sharp, brilliant, and deeply tired. "3, he said. "Or had. Depends how you look at it." "They don't come?" Emily asked. "No," he replied, a little too quickly. "They have their own lives. I taught them well." Emily nodded, though her heart disagreed. She'd seen this before: people who turned independence into a shield, loneliness into routine. She'd learned early in her career that isolation often begins as protection, then becomes a habit. As she finished her tasks, Emily noticed the room again. No photos, no cards, no decorations, just productivity and silence. Before leaving, she paused. "It's Christmas Eve tonight." Jonathan gave a humorous smile. "Is it?" "Yes," she said. "And sometimes, routines deserve a break." He didn't answer. That evening, during her short break, Emily found herself unable to forget the note. She imagined 3 children writing it years ago, believing someone, anyone, would listen. So she acted. She returned to room 712 carrying a small artificial Christmas tree, a knitted red scarf, and a cup of hot cocoa. Nothing expensive, just intention. "I know I'm not family," she said quietly, placing the tree near the window, "but no one should spend Christmas alone if it can be helped." Jonathan stared at the tree. His throat tightened. "They used to argue about the star," he murmured. "All 3 wanted to place it." Emily smiled. "Maybe someday again." For the first time in years, Jonathan closed his laptop. And in that small moment, an old habit cracked, just enough for hope to slip in. Christmas morning arrived quietly at St. Matthew's, sunlight spilling over fresh snow like a promise the world hadn't given up yet. Inside room 712, Jonathan Hale was awake before dawn, something that hadn't happened in years without an alarm. He hadn't slept much, not because of pain, but because of memories. For the first time since his stroke, his laptop remained closed. It sat untouched on the desk, as if unsure whether it still belonged there. Jonathan stared instead at the small Christmas tree by the window. Its plastic branches leaned slightly to one side, imperfect and stubborn, like family. At सुबह के 8:17, a knock broke the stillness. Jonathan's heart jumped. No one ever knocked anymore. Miss Emily opened the door. 3 figures stood in the hallway, dusted with snow, eyes wide and uncertain. 2 young men and a woman, grown, confident, yet suddenly childlike in the face of the room they hadn't entered in years. "We're here to see Jonathan Hale," the woman said softly. "We're his children." Emily stepped aside, her breath catching. "He's been waiting longer than you know." Jonathan looked up. For a moment, the powerful CEO disappeared, replaced by a father frozen in disbelief. "Triplets," he whispered. The tallest son nodded. "Hi, Dad." Time seemed to fold in on itself. Jonathan tried to speak, but his voice failed him. He noticed small details instead. The daughter still bit her lip when nervous. One son stood protectively in front of the other, just like when they were kids. "We found the note," the daughter said, stepping closer. The one we wrote years ago. We realized something. Jonathan swallowed hard. That I pushed you away. No, the second son said. That we listened too well. They placed a small wrapped box on the bed. Inside was a crooked, glitter-covered stuff, clearly handmade, clearly old. We made this the same year as the note, the daughter said. We never stopped hoping you'd let us back in. Jonathan's hands shook as he held it. I taught you discipline, he said quietly. Focus, independence. I made being busy a religion. And loneliness the habit, the tallest son replied gently. We learned that part too. Silence filled the room, but this time, it healed instead of hurting. Jonathan reached out. One by one, his children took his hands. I don't know how to undo yours, he said, voice breaking. But I don't want to keep practicing the wrong habit. The daughter smiled through tears. Then let's start small. They moved together to the window and placed the crooked star on top of the little tree. It wobbled, then settled. Emily watched from the doorway, tears freely falling now. She hadn't planned this. She'd only followed a habit of kindness when she practiced every day without applause. Jonathan turned to her. You changed everything. Emily shook her head. You were ready. I just knocked. Later that day, Jonathan did something no boardroom ever required. He asked his children to stay. And for the first time in decades, Christmas wasn't scheduled.